Alright, how's it going? I want to do a sort of a quick brain dump about Nostralius. Been a while since I did anything, so I'll be a little bit awkward speaking on the mic. So, yeah, in case anybody hasn't noticed, the news Nostralius, which is I think the largest public WoW server, the largest private WoW server I've ever heard of, was shut down by Blizzard. Pretty kind of a normal thing. I wasn't too interested in it at first because I'm not really a private server kind of person. I think something that bothers me about it is that I just assumed that they would be sort of poorly run, not overly well maintained, and just have bugs and so on. But I seem to be pretty wrong about that. Nostralius has been getting a bit of a reputation for being really well maintained, and by really well I mean they seem to have better bot protection and gold spammer protection than the actual live servers. I think because Blizzard are trying to save money on hiring people and they're trying to do it automatically, it's not 100% proof. But Nost just has volunteers who do it manually, volunteer GMs, and they have less gold spammers and bots than the real servers. That is fucking mad. Apparently they run some sort of client, server client that they wrote themselves by reverse engineering the output of the WoW client. I guess just capturing packets that are going out and trying to test what's in the packets versus what you're seeing. Sounds pretty crazy. But yeah, this server that they've created through reverse engineering and have been optimizing and improving apparently has ordinary mob behavior indistinguishable from the live servers. Not for every raid, but for a lot of mobs in the game. They even have raids. They have like molten core. That is mad. That is mad that somebody has gone through such an amazing effort to create a recreation of the vanilla WoW servers. But really, it's not the technical issues or the legal issues of them being shut down or whatever that I really want to talk about. What kind of amazed me is that this quite a lot of people are playing Nost or were. So according to a Reddit post, which I'm going to link down below, one of the I don't know if he's head developers or something, did an AMA on Reddit and said that at the peak of Nost, which was just before it was shut down, it had about 150,000 active users. 150,000 active users. That means people who logged in the last 10 days, apparently. And that it had about 18,000 concurrent players across 2 servers. Now, that is pretty intense. I mean, I think we all know that WoW has dropped down to about 5 million subs at the moment worldwide. And it might even be less than that. They don't report it anymore. But how many people are on each server? Right? They just had a bunch of server mergers, and I don't know how many servers there are now in the EU, but there must be at least 20, possibly more. Now I don't know how many players are on each EU server, but if you split up that whatever proportion of the players is in EU and whatever proportion of players is on each server, each Nostralius server, I understand that one is more populated than the other. So one of them has the majority of those 18,000 players on at one time. That server could be the most popular WoW server. That is insane to think about that. And I mean, looking at the subscription numbers, well, before I say that, I should say that that's complete speculation. I really don't know what the most populous WoW server is. I tried to find out, but it was pretty damn difficult. What I tried to do was to go to Realm Pop and find out what the most populous realm was and try to extrapolate from that. But Realm Pop is really just based on how many characters, not accounts, it can scrape off the server by just checking what's going on in the auction house. So firstly, it can only tell you how many characters are on a particular server, not limit it to accounts, which is already a problem. But even then, how do you know that those people are subscribed? If it just because it can detect them in the WoW database, that doesn't mean they're subscribed or anything. So who really knows what that means? So I don't know which is the most popular server. I don't know how many people are active on each server at a time. But yeah, we know for Nost, it's 18,000 over 2 servers. Yeah, so just trying to put those numbers into context. That's obviously a lot less than WoW retail, which is 5 million active now, versus Nost's 150k active. So I think that's what, like 20, 30 times the users on WoW. But just think about that for a sec. This is a hobby team of 20 odd people managed to make an MMO server client for the WoW client that is 1/20th as populous as the most popular MMO on the market in the West. That's pretty mad already, right? But start having a look at that compared to other active MMOs, and it looks even madder. Like, there was a huge issue recently with Black Desert Online being released. Apparently, it has between 100 and 120,000 concurrent players currently. I think that's concurrent. By concurrent, it means actually logged in at the same time. That doesn't necessarily mean playing at the same time. It seems that in Black Desert you can do a lot of stuff by just AFKing. So, but it means logging in. So that's active players logged in at the same time. And that's I think going to be the biggest MMO release this year, and it just came out this month. 120,000 concurrent. Nostalrius, which is I think more than a year old at this point, could be years. Running a game that's 10 years old has about between a fifth and a sixth of that number. That's crazy. That is crazy. And I'm linking the numbers below for Black Desert. I don't know. It's just another Reddit post of somebody claiming that this is true. It looks legit. I think the link is to the main forum for Black Desert. I think these numbers are just ballpark, really. You have to take them with a grain of salt. Next up, I tried to find out how much was in Star Wars Old Republic, because that's a free-to-play game, and I thought, well, maybe that's more directly sort of comparable to what Nost would be. Nost is essentially a free MMO. Star Wars Old Republic says it has about 1 million monthly logins. It didn't say anything about concurrent players, so I don't know what that means. All these numbers are different. But it seems that 1 million separate people logged in monthly, according to this post, and that seems to be not that recently, those numbers. So that was the biggest MMO release of a couple of years ago. Have a look at something like Wildstar, and I read in a comment section somewhere that they had about 30,000 logins per region. So I've gathered there's a North American region and an EU region at least, and probably an Asian region. I don't know how many regions there are. But if there's about a population of about 30,000 per region for Wildstar, that could mean that Nostalrius is 5 times as populous as Nostalrius, or as Wildstar, a legit retail game. Now, to be honest, I doubt those numbers. Well, firstly, I just misstated it. Actually, that would be one region, so their worldwide population would be 5 times more populous than, say, the EU region. But even then, I can't find any good numbers for that. I can't find any good source for that, so we don't know. But even if the Wildstar populations were much larger, we're looking at a number that's not, I don't know, probably comparable in some way. Maybe it could be double, it could be half, but it's a number that's something that's comparable to a retail game. That's the number of people who are queuing up and looking for some way to play vanilla World of Warcraft from 10 years ago. So I'm done being incredulous now. Let's get to whatever the conclusion is I was going to look at. The fact is that Nostalrius itself, a vanilla World of Warcraft, could actually be in something like the top 20 most populous MMO on the market right now in the West by itself. Just that one vanilla server. Now, what does that actually say about vanilla WoW? I think that says something pretty astounding. I think a lot of people play it, obviously, for nostalgia reasons. It's called Nostalrius after all, but it seems that enough people are playing that it has some actual value in and of itself. I think something that people forget is that vanilla WoW and the current WoW are so different that they might as well be totally different games. it's so difficult to compare them side by side because Vanilla WoW was so long ago, and it's hard to just get an accurate representation of what was different. But what we've done here is we've run a sort of virtual experiment, right? What if we released Vanilla WoW today, and new WoW was already out? How well would it fare? Well, what we've seen in that experiment, starting Vanilla WoW out with a pretty big disadvantage in terms of numbers, but the advantage of nostalgia and, I don't know, curiosity, I suppose, is we're seeing Vanilla WoW shrinking. Well, we're seeing retail WoW shrinking, I should say, quite quickly. I think the shrinking has sped up recently, over just before they stopped reporting their sub numbers. And we're seeing Vanilla WoW actually is growing in popularity. So obviously you can't say that the flaws of Vanilla were so serious that it would prevent people from playing at all. But neither can we really draw any conclusions, except that people enjoyed the Vanilla experience more than, I don't know, probably more than naysayers thought they would do. It does have something. It has some charm that the current game doesn't have. I'm not sure what it is. I think what I'm going to do at this point is just overlay some of the screenshots that I found in the Reddit thread about Nostalrius. It's just truly amazing how many people are online on the servers. I mean, the server technology they have today would be totally different. I mean, in terms of the hardware, they would have much more capable hardware to run a server on, compared to whatever Blizzard had at the time. They were really just feeling it out. It was really just the dawn of broadband, So just that fact alone means that they could fit more people on the server and have more actions and so on taking place for cheaper. But I mean, I'm not seeing anything like this even on current WoW servers. I mean, nobody's really getting together in massive numbers. There aren't really any server events that look like this. We're seeing something here that isn't on live. It's more vibrant. There's more people. There's more world interaction. I mean, it's tough to draw any meaningful conclusions without having actually played on the server and investigated some of these claims myself, but I think at least we can say that the atmosphere on Nostalrius is different from live. And I would expect it not just to be the fact that people there are passionate about remembering WoW, but probably the actual environment is different in some way. I think the game design is different, and it facilitates a different kind of action from the player. I think that's logical to conclude. But beyond that, we can't really say. I think the only thing we can say really is that there's a place in today's world for vanilla WoW. I think some of the design decisions there hold up. The world design certainly holds up at least better than the current world design, I think, in some ways. Yeah, I really wish that there was some more legitimate way for players to enjoy vanilla WoW. It looks like Nost is going away, and I don't know what will happen. I don't know whether there will be a server as big as that again. After all, Blizz could and probably will just shut down the next one that appears. But if they came out with their own version of Nost, their own their own vanilla retro server, or whatever, I'd play that. I'm not subscribed right now, but I probably will do in the next month or so, just for kicks. I seem to unsubscribe and resubscribe every now and then. But if a vanilla server appeared today, yeah, I would subscribe today and I would fucking play it. That would be cool. I'd love to not just relive it for nostalgia purposes, although that is a huge part of it. I think it felt different. It felt different to play. And really, I want to be there and level up with a shit ton of other people. I mean, there was no instancing on those old servers. You could just go there, and whoever was there, and you could play with them. That was pretty cool. That is something I really do miss. Something that really peeved me off in WoW recently was that I got the game early for Warlords of Draenor release, installed the whole thing, and got the whole thing ready to go to the opening event, the opening of the Dark Portal version 2. because I had some great memories from the first opening of the Dark Portal, where everybody on the server turned up. I could see all these big names from the best guilds, see what they were decked out in, I don't know, see who was there, and just gather up and just have a huge mass gathering and see what was going on the server. That was really cool. I just remember it being amazing that so many people were there, how exciting it was to, I don't know, see just a ton of virtual elves fuck around. It's pretty cool. But today, in today's WoW, there's something that they do when there's a huge server load in a particular areas. They start to phase people. So I flew to the entrance of the Dark Portal version 2 in Blasted Lands, and everybody was phased. I could see like 30 people at once, even though I'm sure that there were hundreds of people there. So the whole experience was just empty, and yeah, it was a real bummer. The phasing technology was just there to kind of bum me out, really. And then what happens when you go through the Dark Portal? Well, you're right into like an instant scenario. What the fuck do I play an MMO for? Not that. Right? I play it to hang out with other people and be out there in the world. If the world doesn't feel like, I don't know, a persistent universe, then I feel like you're missing the point of MMO, really. It's not all about, you know, instance dungeons and stuff. That's good, but it can only be a part of the experience. Well, there you go. There's my rant about Nost. Maybe I'll think about something better to say, or something more coherent, at least in the future. Cheers for listening to this ranty crap. Peace.